Howdy meeps, Rigaroga here, and you're you, and let's take a look at ta-da! Mausritter, Sword and Whiskers Role-Playing by Isaac Williams from Losing Games. I've never played this before, so I want to go through the rules, sort of get an idea of how to play, and then I'll create a character, and then I'll try and do a solo adventure with at least one character, maybe a team of a couple or something. I don't know. We'll see. Anyhow, let's dive in and take a look. On the first inside page of the cover, right into it, there's all kinds of things you can collect and trade for. Gear prices, it says. All prices are in pips, which are a standard currency in the mouse kingdoms. Okay. Tools, mouse-made tools available in most mouse settlements. These items are mouse-sized. Makes sense. Bedrolls, bellows, books, all the kinds of sort of trinkety things. Hey, Bee, you want to come up? Come here. Oh, yeah, come on up. Good kitty, good kitty. And musical instruments and poles. It's a 6-inch pole, not a 10-foot pole. Just for your old school D&D players. There's human-made tools, which are available in mouse settlements near human populations, like fishing hooks, incense sticks, lenses, necklace chains, needles, matches, twine, soap, thread, mousetrap, poison. What? Yikes. There's weapon and armor, improvised stuff like twigs and rocks, and light weapons, heavy weapons, light-ranged, heavy-ranged arrows, stones, silvered weapons. Always mark usage after fight. Huh, okay. Oh, so it's silvered is like a coating on there. Okay. And repairs per dot, 10%. Okay, so we're going to keep track of damage with dots. Light sources, torches, lanterns, electric lanterns. Oh, wow, I sort of thought this was medieval in a way, but I guess it's not. Batteries for electric lantern. Okay, clothing, different kinds, lodging and food, night on the town for 100 pips. Transport, so we can go by rabbit wagon or pigeon flight. Prices are per mouse per hex. Ooh, holy cripes. Pigeon flight is expensive. Hired help, you can hire, prices are per day, not including food, supplies, and shelter. Laborer, diggers, local guides, scholars, interpreters. Wow, okay, interesting. So Mausritter is a role-playing game. You and 2 to 5 friends play make-believe to create a shared world. The rules help keep the story you tell consistent, interesting, and challenging. You play as a brave mouse adventurer exploring a vast and dangerous world to find treasure and bring it back to the safety of mouse settlements. This book provides complete rules for players and GMs. However, it does make the assumption that you know what a role-playing game is and have a basic idea of how to interact with one. Thanks to Mausritter's play testers, Adelaide, Albie, Nathaniel, Richard, Sam, and the Train Dogs. These are games or blogs that I have drawn inspiration or shamelessly stolen from to build Mausritter. Mice and Mystics, which is cool. Mouse Guard, which is also cool for cute mouse adventurers. Into the Odd for most of the core rules. Okay, so this is an Into the Odd hack. Goblin Punch, which I'm not familiar with, for the magic and 3 times usage. Knave, okay, for characters defined by inventories, which is a cool thing. That's really a cool thing. Mothership, which is awesome for densely packed layouts. Moonhop, which I'm not familiar with, for just going and making your game. Last Gasp Grimoire for arts and crafts inventories. Coins and Scrolls for my reintroduction to old school D&D. The Mausritter rules are set in the fonts Broken Script OT and Interstate Condensed, written and illustrated by Isaac Williams, and it's from 2019. And you can go to the website losing.games/Mausritter. So in addition to these rules, there's rules in French and a couple adventures and things like that. So we'll take a look at those when we get to them. And here's the table of contents: make a mouse, inventory, how to play magic, recruiting help, GMing, running the world, creatures, and a hex crawl toolbox with adventure sites and adventure seeds. Okay, so there's not an actual adventure. That's what I remembered. I do have one that I'll likely play called Honey Rafters, I think it is. And then I actually have one more, I think. Anyhow, so the first thing is make a mouse. The world is very big and very dangerous for a small mouse adventurer. You will need to be very brave and always keep your wits about you. Attributes. Your mouse has 3 attributes. These measure their basic strengths and weaknesses. Strength, physical strength and resilience. Dex, speed and agility. Will, strength of will and charisma. For each of these attributes, in order, roll 3d6. Keep the 2 highest die, results for a value between 2 and 12. You may then swap any 2 attributes. Interesting, okay. HP, pips, and background. Roll 1d6 for your HP. This is how much damage your mouse can shrug off before taking serious harm. Okay, that's interesting. So HP is sort of an ablative shield before you take physical like permanent damage or serious harm. Roll 1d6 for your mouse's starting pips, so that's coins. These are the basic currency of the mouse kingdom. Cross-reference the values of your HP and pips on the background table. This is what your mouse was before becoming an adventurer. Oh, interesting. Wow. Wow, that's a cool way to come up with backgrounds. Okay, in your starting equipment, your mouse starts with torches, rations, 2 items from their background, and a weapon of your choice. If your mouse's highest attribute is 9 or less, roll on the background table again and take either item A or B. If your highest is 7 or less, take both. And details. Roll or choose birth sign, coat, and physical detail, and then choose a name appropriate for a brave mouse. So we get birth signs: star, wheel, acorn, storm, moon, mother, and those give us dispositions. And then coat with color and pattern, and physical detail, so we get some cosmetic. Oh, that's a D66 table. That's cool. And then backgrounds. And then so here, your starting HP and your starting pips form a D66 to look up your background, and then you get your starting items A and B. That is really a cool way to do that. I like that a lot. That's fun. And now, one of the coolest parts about this, other than just everything, is the inventory is done like a Tetris thing, where you've got inventory slots. Okay, so your mouse carries items in an inventory slot. Most items take up 1 inventory slot. Some larger items, such as 2-handed weapons and armor, take up 2 slots. So you've got your main paw, your body, and then your other body slots, your physical slots, pack slots, and all sorts of stuff. And you sort of fit the things that you're carrying in there. And then it's when we get to wounds and damage and stuff, you lose inventory slots. Totally a cool mechanic. Paw slot. Items in these slots are carried. Body slots. Body shots. Yeah. Body slots. Worn items can be swapped with paw slots as a free action. And pack slots. Items in these slots take time to retrieve when under pressure. While in combat, your mouse must use an action instead of attacking to find an item in their pack. Cool mechanic, yeah. So conditions. These are negative effects on your mouse. Conditions must be placed in an inventory slot. Some also have additional effects. Conditions may only be removed from your mouse's inventory by meeting their clear condition, usually a short, long, or full rest. So like hungry is clear after a meal. Injured causes the effect of disadvantage on strength and dex saves, and then it's clear after a full rest. Cool. Usage. Most items have 3 usage dots. When all 3 dots are marked on an item, it is depleted or destroyed. Usage dots can be cleared from weapons, armor for 10% of the original cost per dot cleared. Weapons and armor and ammunition. After a fight, roll d6 for each item that was used during the fight. On a 4 to 6, mark usage. Torches and lanterns. Mark usage every 6 turns. Rations. Mark usage after a meal. Other gear. If used in a way that would break or deplete it, the GM may ask you to mark usage. Encumbrance. If your mouse is carrying more items or conditions than available inventory slots, they are encumbered. When encumbered, your mouse cannot run and makes all saves with disadvantage. Banking. In a mouse settlement, pips and items can be stored in a bank or safe box. Your mouse must pay a fee of 1% of the value when retrieving the stored pips or items. And cool illustrations for all the weapons. Improvised weapons, D6 damage, main paws, both paws, light weapons, ranged, light ranged, heavy, medium, heavy ranged. I like that they're categories instead of, saying like, okay, I'm gonna detail every kind of heavy weapon there is, and here's how much each of them costs, and here's how much each of them cause in damage. I really like that they're categories and they have a cost, they have they have damage applied to them uniformly as a category. And then armor, there's light armor and then heavy armor. And it's a button shield. That's really cool. And then a thimble hat. That's so cool. Torches and lanterns and rations and pip purse. Holds 250 pips. Oh, cool. See, that you can't have infinite gold. Good call. How to play. The GM describes a situation, describe what your mouse does, and then the GM will describe the outcome. The conversation flows until the mechanics interject. Role-playing. You are in control of and acting in the role of your mouse. You can talk in first, second, or third person, or switch between those. You don't have to do a silly voice, but it certainly can't hurt. Best practices. If you're stuck thinking of what to do while you're playing Mausritter, refer back to these guidelines. Ask lots of questions. Make notes, draw maps. Work together, devise schemes, recruit allies. Dice are dangerous. Clever plans don't need roll. Play to win. Delight in losing. Fight dirty. Run, die, roll a new mouse. Saves. When you describe your mouse doing something risky where the outcome is uncertain and failure has a consequence, the GM will ask you to make a save against either strength, dex, or will. To make a save, roll a d20. If the result is less than or equal to the relevant attribute, your mouse succeeds and suffers no consequences. If the result is over the attribute, your mouse fails and suffers the consequences described by the GM. Opposed saves. If your mouse and another character are competing, you both make saves. The lowest successful roll wins. Advantage and disadvantage. If you roll a save and are particularly well prepared or equipped, the GM may allow you to roll with advantage. Roll 2d20 and take the lowest result. The GM may ask you to roll with disadvantage if you are in a poor position. Roll 2d20 and take the highest result. Combat. Combat is a dangerous business for mice, even brave adventurers, but sometimes it cannot be avoided. If you attack unsuspecting foes, your mouse and any allies aware of the plan go first. Otherwise, make a dex save to act before your opponents. On your turn in a combat round, your mouse can move up to 12 inches and perform an action. Actions can be, there's a missing B there, there's a missing verb. Actions can be anything from negotiating, attacking, fleeing, or performing a gambit. Attacks. Attacks always hit. Wow, my mind just boggled. Roll your weapons die and do that much damage to an opponent, minus their armor. When an attack is impaired, such as firing into cover or fighting while grappled, roll d6 for damage regardless of weapon. When an attack is enhanced by a risky gambit or vulnerable opponent, roll d12. Hit protection and damage. Damage is dealt first to a creature's hit protection. Oh, it's not hit points, hit protection. Okay. This represents the creature's ability to avoid or shrug off real damage. Once HP is depleted, damage is dealt to strength. After taking strength damage, the creature must make a strength save. If they succeed, they are still able to fight. If they fail, they take critical damage. When a creature takes critical damage, they take the injured condition and are incapacitated until tended to by an ally and take a short rest. If an incapacitated creature is left untended for 6 exploration turns, they die. So that's really interesting, different levels of damage and taking damage. Cool. Okay. Ability score loss and death. If a creature has their strength reduced to 0, they are dead. If dex is reduced to 0, they are unable to move. If will is reduced to 0, they are reduced to madness. We're going to have some sort of cosmic horror stuff going on, maybe. When your mouse dies, roll up a new one. The GM should find an opportunity to introduce them as soon as possible. Getting back into the game quickly is better than realism. Interesting. Yeah, I can totally see like an adventure, like a hex crawl focused on reducing dex and being unable to move. And then I can see like sort of a horror kind of frightening, scaring the little mice thing, reducing them to madness. And yeah, that interesting. Okay, rest and healing. There are 3 ways your mouse can rest and recover. Short rest takes 1 turn. A swig of water and a few minutes of rest will restore 1d6 plus 1 hit protection. Long rest takes 1 watch. A meal and some sleep will restore all hit protection. If HP was already full, restore 1d6 to an ability score. Oh, so you can get your move and your madness back. That's cool. Full rest takes a week back in safety. This fully restores your mouse's ability scores and removes most long-term conditions. A week of food and board in a settlement usually costs 20 pips. Time. For convenience and ease of reference, game time is divided up into 3 time scales of expanding duration. Round, the time scale used during combat. Each round is less than a minute. Turn, the time scale used during dungeon exploration. Each turn is around 10 minutes and is enough time to explore 1 room and perform an action or 2. A fight will almost always be 1 turn long. Watch. The time scale used during wilderness travel. Each watch is 36 turns, about 6 hours. There are 4 watches in a day. You can usually travel 1 hex in a watch. So 4 hexes in a day. Okay, interesting. So overland travel. Your party of mice can travel 1 mile per watch. Difficult terrain, streams, human roads, large rocks, hills, etc. takes 2 watches per mile traveled. Foraging. In the wild, your mouse can spend a watch foraging. If they do, they will find D3 uses of rations. Advancement. Your mouse earns experience points, XP, by bringing treasure and useful goods back from places of danger to the safety of a mouse settlement. For every pip worth of treasure brought to safety, divided equally amongst the party, your mouse earns 1 experience point. Wow, that's very old school D&D, yeah? First edition. You only get experience from the gold you bring back. Your mouse can earn additional XP by spending their pips selflessly on improvements for the whole community. Oh, man. So there could totally be like a settlement phase. Oh, man. I so want that. That's cool. Yeah. For every 10 pips spent this way, your mouse earns 1 experience point. Level. Mice start at level 1. The following table shows the total experience points required to advance each level. So level 1 is 0, level 2 is 1,000, 3,000, 6,000, and then each level after that is an additional 5,000. And you gain grit, and your hit dice go up by 1d6 up until level 5, and then it stays steady at 46. Interesting. When your mouse earns enough experience points to advance to each level, use the following procedure. Roll for attribute increase. For each of strength, dex, and will, roll a d20. If the result is over the attribute's current value, increase it by 1. Oh, interesting. Roll hit dice. Roll the dice listed for the new level's current hit dice. If the value is over your mouse's current HP, replace the rolled value. Oh, wow. You don't just add a die, you actually re-roll. Oh, that is weird and interesting. And if it's not over, you just increase your HP by 1. Very, very interesting. That definitely would keep the hit protection down. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. God, there's so many interesting mechanics in this game. So grit, starting at second level, your mouse has grit. This allows your mouse to ignore conditions. For each point of grit you have, you may place one condition outside of your mouse's inventory instead of in an inventory slot. And by ignoring it, I assume that means that the effects, that you don't take the negative effect unless it's in your inventory. Okay. Magic, spells. Spells are living spirits trapped by runes carved on obsidian tablets. Oh, this is cool. Spells are usually found in deep and dangerous places. The creation of spells is an art lost to all but the most learned wizards, and they guard their secrets closely. So there's an example of light and knock, and they've got usage ticks on them. So you only get, well, they're basically multi-use scrolls. Oh, wow. So, oh, that's such a cool mechanic. Selling spells. If unwanted, a fully charged spell can usually be sold for 1d6 times 100p in a settlement. Wow. A depleted spell's value is halved, assuming it's not zero, right? Casting a spell. To cast a spell, your mouse must hold the tablet in a paw and read it aloud. When your mouse casts a spell, decide on the power to cast it with, up to the number of usage dots remaining on the spell. Roll a number of d6 equal to the power the spell is cast with. For each die of value 4 to 6, mark one usage on the spell. Oh, it doesn't necessarily... oh man. It doesn't necessarily deplete the spell, but if it does... Yeah, oh, man. The spell has an effect which varies depending on the number of dice invested and the sum of the rolled dice. Recharging a spell. Oh, you can actually... Oh, so even a fully depleted one can be recharged. Okay. When a spell's usage dots are filled, it is depleted and cannot be cast. Each spell has a recharge condition, and fulfilling this condition will coax the spirit back to the spell and clear all of its usage dots. Oh, neat. Okay. Miscasts. Whenever one or more sixes are rolled when casting a spell, the caster takes d6 damage to will for each 6. Then make a will save. If failed, take the mad condition. Oh, nice. Magic is dangerous. And then here's a list of spells. Fireball, heal, magic missile, fear, darkness, restore, be understood, ghost beetle, light, invisible ring, knock, grease, grow, invisibility, catnip. Nice. Oh man, those are cool. Recruiting help. A pair of helping paws might give you the edge you'll need to survive. Throughout the Mouse Kingdoms, you'll come across other mice who are willing to explore the vast unknown world with you and your party. So what I may end up doing is I may give myself a character with hirelings, and that I think that's probably what I'll do instead of having full-blown characters. But I'll think about that as I'm reading this. But that's my guess, is that I'll do it this way. So hirelings. In a mouse settlement, you can spend a day asking around for mice looking for work. The size of the settlement determines what types of hirelings are available. Make a will save or pay 20 pips. If successful, roll number appearing for the type of help you are interested in hiring. Okay, this is written a little weird. If successful, roll the die listed in the number column of the table for how many appear for the type of help you're interested in hiring. That sentence needs to be edited. Typical hirelings will have 1d6 hit protection and 2d6 strength, dex, and will. Hirelings have 6 inventory slots, 2 paw slots, and 4 pack slots. 2d6 strength, dex, and will. So do you roll 2d6 and then distribute them as you see fit? I'm not sure how that works. That's confusing to me right now. We'll figure it out. You can get torchbearers, laborers, tunnel diggers, armorers, local guides, mouse-at-arms, scholars, knights, and interpreters. And so I'll probably... I don't know how that'll work. We'll see. Hireling morale. When a hireling or warband is placed in a stressful situation, that's the first use of the term warband. I'm assuming warband is your group. Is it my group? What is a warband? Okay, that's confusing to me. I don't know. So anyhow, when a hireling or warband is placed in a stressful situation, made to go without pay or food, or asked to do something more dangerous than what they signed on for, they must make a will save or flee. Especially well-paid or loyal hirelings may make this save with advantage. And then there's an example of the hireling character sheet. Hireling advancement. Hirelings and warbands can improve in the same way that your player mice do. Hirelings who receive a share of treasure gain 1 XP per pip they are given above their daily wage. Warbands who receive a share of treasure will gain 1 XP per 10 pips they are given above their weekly wage. Hirelings and warbands advance at the same rate as player mice, so once they get 1000 XP, they advance to level 2. So there's a typo there. Not receiving a share of treasure may cause resentment among hirelings. Warbands. Okay, so here's warbands. A mouse is very small, and many beasts cannot be defeated working alone. When mice work together, they can form a warband and act on a scale capable of facing other warbands or large beasts, like a cat or a boar. Forming a warband. A warband is formed by 20 or more fighting mice, plus 1 follower, luggage, porter, cook, armorer for every fighter. Your mouse can form a warband under their command. In a town or city, spend a week recruiting, make a will save, or pay 1,000 pips. Warbands start with 1d6 HP, 10 strength, dex, and will, d6 damage, clubs, and axes. Warbands require 1,000 pips a week for upkeep and wages, and failure to pay may result in, it says on mutiny, in mutiny. Battles between warbands and warband scale creatures function the same as fights between small individuals. Attacks by a warband against a non-warband scale creature are enhanced. Any damage taken from non-warband scale creatures is ignored unless it is particularly destructive or large scale. Casualties. When a warband takes critical damage, they are broken and cannot act until rallied. At strength 0, the warband is wiped out. At half strength, the warband must make a will save or they are routed. Warbands recover HP and ability score damage like individuals do with short, long, and full rests. Wow, okay. Equipping. Equipping improves a warband's abilities the same way as it does for individuals, just multiply the purchase price by 20. Interesting. So basically little war game stuff going on. So you can fight big cats and dogs and goats and I don't know whatever. A snake. Interesting. Okay. Constructions. The right to build on land cannot be bought. It can only be given or taken and defended. A team of 3 tunnel diggers can excavate 1 6-inch cube of soil per day. Other materials take twice as long. Rooms can be of any size, and the following is the cost of materials and fittings per 6-inch cube constructed. Laborers and diggers must be paid separately. You can build tunnels, poor rooms, standard rooms, and grand rooms. All constructions require an upkeep of 1% of the total cost per month. Wow. Okay. So that's your settlement. Like you can expand settlements into rooms and things. Or maybe that's just your player residence within a settlement. GMing Mausritter. Best practices. The following are guidelines for GMing a game of Mausritter. Make the world seem huge. Mice are small. Be on the lookout for opportunities to remind the players of the small scale characters they are playing. Yeah, so this is the... oh man, what was the Sid and Marty Croft? The mysterious island where they were shrunken? And then, of course, there's... Oh man, what's that other one? Oh god, it's super famous. It's by the guy that did like all the disaster movies. Oh my god, I'm totally blanking. Anyhow, there's all sorts of cool source material. So let the players find their own adventure. Don't railroad them onto a particular path. Present the world honestly. As the GM, you are the eyes, ears, and nose of the players. Make sure they have all of the information that they need. Make the world a consistent, understandable place. Don't shy away from magic and weirdness, but maintain a logic behind it that can be decoded. Be an impartial arbiter of the rules of the game and the world. Let the dice fall as they may. Follow the goals and actions of antagonists to their logical conclusions. Telegraph danger. Give the players ample warning of the dangers they face. Make traps obvious, deadly puzzles. Give warning of the dangerous beasts that hunt the mice. Don't pull your punches. The only way for danger to be meaningful is if the outcome of failure is meaningful. When the players face off against dangerous foes or fall into a deadly trap, do not shy away from the consequences. Reward bravery. When the players have been smart and brave and followed good leads, give them the rewards they have earned. Don't be miserly when the players face down great dangers and succeed. Asking for a save. Saves should only be asked for as the result of a player's action or choice. Mice can do anything that seems reasonable and safe, but when they do something dangerous, ask for save to avoid the possible consequences. Strength saves avoid harm through physical power and endurance. Dex saves avoid harm through quick reaction, speed, and agility. Will saves avoid harm through strength of will and force of personality. Consequences of failure. The consequences of a failed save should be obvious and telegraphed. Remember that saves should only occur when a player wants to avoid a negative outcome. Some options for consequences are damage, ranging from D4 to D12. D4 is minor, D6 is dangerous, D8 is enough to seriously injure a first level character, D20 damage is deadly. So actually it ranges from D4 to D20 because unless that should have been D12. Okay, that's confusing. So damage ranges from D4 to D12 with D20 damage is deadly, but it doesn't mention D12. I'd normalize that. Condition, exhausted or frightened are good options. Lost time. Each action takes a turn. Lost time can burn torches, cause random encounter rolls, so on. Lost random item. Roll D6 for inventory slots. Ooh, nice. That's how you lose your magic ring. It falls out of your pocket and tries to get back to Gollum. Mark usage on items. Mark 1 to 3 usage dots. And luck rolls. Luck rolls are for events that have an unpredictable outcome and is outside the remit of strength, dex, will saves. Assign an X in 6 chance to the outcome occurring. Low for unlikely, high for likely, then roll a d6. If the result is equal or less than the chance, it happens. So that's kind of an oracle, actually. That's almost a solo play oracle. I'd probably change that to 2d6s and then compare the values and do that. Rulings. The rules of Mausritter will not cover every situation you and the players come across, and some parts have been kept intentionally vague. When this happens, adapt one of your existing tools to the purpose, or create a new one. Make a note of the ruling for future use, and release it as an expansion for the community. Running the world, exploration. When exploring in a dungeon or adventure site, a party of mice can perform one major action per turn. Major actions are things like moving to a new room, examining a trap, or engaging in a fight. Overland travel. Divide the area being traveled by the mice into 1 mile hexes. The party of mice can travel 1 hex per watch. Hexes containing difficult terrain, streams, human roads, large rocks, hills, etc. take 2 watches to cross. Rest. If the mice do not spend at least 1 watch per day resting, give them an exhausted condition. So you can do forced marches. That's interesting. So next is weather. Roll 2d6 for weather each day. Weather that is highlighted are poor conditions for travel. For each watch spent traveling under these conditions, a mouse must make a strength save or gain an exhausted condition. Oh, interesting. And it's by season: spring, summer, autumn, winter. And then you get anywhere from clear and warm and rainstorms and bitter cold and snowstorms. And you get more exhausted in the winter. Very interesting. Cool, 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 cool. Encounters. When the mice are exploring a dungeon or adventure site, roll for encounters every 3 turns. When they're exploring in the wilderness, roll for encounters at the start of the morning watch and start of the evening watch. If an encounter occurs, roll d12 to find what hour it occurs in. To roll a random encounter, roll d6. On a 1, an encounter occurs. On a 2, an omen sign occurs, signs or hints of an encounter. Foreshadowing, that's interesting. Very interesting. Reactions. When the mice encounter a creature whose reaction to the party is not obvious, you may roll on the following table for their disposition. Anywhere from hostile, unfriendly, unsure, talkative, and helpful. You could make that more complex and have more complex reactions. And you could actually, I had an idea. I mean, you could even randomize take your core emotions on a spectrum, and then you can apply them to themselves, to someone close to them, to someone they don't know, to the party, and you can mix and match those. That would be interesting. That would add an interesting complexity to that. Morale. Whenever an antagonist is in a battle with the mice and reaches one of the following conditions, it must make a will save. On failure, the creature must flee or surrender. And the conditions is obviously outmatched at the start of the battle, takes critical damage for the first time, sees an ally fall or flee. Okay. Encounter tables. For each major area, prepare a table of 1d6 encounters that express the theme of that area. Entries 1 to 3 should be variations of a common encounter. Entries 4 and 5 should be variations of an uncommon encounter, something slightly unusual. And entry 6 should be a weird and dangerous encounter. Creatures. Language. As a general rule of thumb, the more closely related two creatures are, the more likely they are able to understand each other. The more likely that... Okay, that sentence needs to be rewritten. The more likely they are to be able to understand each other. Use the creature's taxonomy to make a ruling. Magical or highly intelligent creatures may break these rules. Whoa! Same species, like a mouse, can easily communicate. Same family, rodents, can speak and communicate with some difficulty and difference of custom. Same class, like a mammal, make a will save to see if communication is possible. Otherwise, can't communicate directly. Wow, that is really cool. That's really neat. Oh man. So that means these lists of creatures, it's interesting because like cat and fairy, they don't list species, family, and class, and they should, because of that rule. Each creature that you create and reference should have a species, family, and class. Anyhow, so list of creatures. Use these creatures in your campaign and as examples for creating new antagonists for your players. When a creature lists critical damage in its stat block, this occurs instead of the standard critical damage effect. For example, a spider attacks Burdock, the mouse, and does 4 damage. Burdock has 2 HP, so 2 is the damage passed through to his dex. Burdock must make a dex save, but fails, so the spider quickly wraps him up in their web and starts to escape. Hopefully Burdock's friends are quick in their pursuit. Interesting. Okay, so special powers are different kinds of critical damage. Okay. Cat. Warband scale. Okay, that's a good note. So this is something that you would attack with a warband. 15 HP, strength 15, dex 15, will 10, armor 1, attacks d6 swipe and a d8 bite. What it wants is to be served. If mice pledge fealty and give bribes, they may be allowed to live. And there are cat lords: Balthazar, Melchior, Solomon, Hammurabi, Nefertiti, Zenobia. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Interesting. Yeah. And a fairy, 6 HP, strength 10, dex 15, will 15, attacks d8, silver rapier. and knows one spell, and it wants to further the Fairy Queen's strange agenda. And then there are fairy agendas. And ghosts with ghostly powers, a mouse with rival mouse adventurers, owls with who are sorcerers, rats with gangs, snakes with strange snakes, and spiders with spider species. Ah, neat. Okay, that's really cool stuff. Hex Crawl Toolbox. Fill hexes. Start with a 5x5 map of 1 mile hexes. Place a friendly settlement in the center. Okay. Fill the remaining hexes, roll on the hex contents table or use them as inspiration. Each hex should contain a landmark and a detail. Write a 1-line description for each hex. Create adventure sites. Pick 2 of the landmarks and detail them as adventure sites. Populate the 2 adventure sites with 2 different factions that have competing goals. In the first session, start the mice at the entrance of one of the adventure sites. Seed rumors. While the players explore the adventure sites, give hints about other locations. Create a table of D6 rumors about events and locations and use it when players are in a friendly settlement. Entries 1 to 3 should be true, entries 4 and 6 should be partially true, and entry 6 should be false. I don't know how I'm going to do that in solo, but I don't know. So here's an example, Hex Crawl, the Earldom of Eck. We've got Oaks Grove, 3 ant kingdoms are constantly at war, Woodshed, Mouse Hermit's Hut, Caves of Gormangast, Blackrock Stand, Tower of Magnolia, Ghost Beach, Stumpsville, Poppy Seed House, and a fishing spot, often used by humans. Okay, cool. So that's an interesting little hex right there. And hex contents, you can choose a hex type, a landmark, and a detail. So you countryside, forest, river, human town, and then landmarks in the countryside, forest, river, or human town, and then landmark detail with some prompts. And then mouse settlements, inhabitants, notable feature and events, settlement size, and then settlement name seeds. So Willow Mill, Swamp Farm, Hill Vale, Copper Creek. Cool. Adventure sites. Construction, ruination, inhabitants, searching for, protecting, secret. That reminds me of Forbidden Lands a lot. Okay, so that's some cool stuff. Adventure seeds, so you can spark inspiration for adventure, roll once and read across, or roll individually for each column and combine. So we have a prospector that has been exiled from a settlement and it is in a deep cave. There's a duckling that has been accused of murder and it's very urgent. Mousy names. Ada, Agate, Agnes, Iris, Horatio, Ernest, and then surnames. Danger, D-Rider, Grant, Halva, and of course I've got the French version that has completely different names, which I'm probably going to use. Non-player mice and appearances and quirks for non-player mice. Cool. And here's a quick reference. The saves, roll d20 equal to or under your strength, dex, or will. Opposed save, both make a save. Lowest successful value wins. Advantage, you roll 2d20 and take the lowest. Disadvantage, you take 2d20 and take the highest. In combat, on your turn, move and take an action. Surprise, attacks, damage, death, usage, and resting and magic. And that's the back cover. So that's it. That's the rules. So next is to create a character, maybe create a hex and some stuff, or I may just create a character and then dive into an adventure. I'm not sure, but I think that that's it for this sort of first look, shall we say, of Mausritter. Super. I'm really actually blown away. There's a few mistakes and typos and whatnot, but the bones of this and the innovation is really cool. Obviously, there's some inspiration that comes from other stuff, but the whole thing together is just this is really cool. I'm super excited to figure out how to play this solo. This would be really interesting. So I hope you'll come back and watch me play. And I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.